Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome to another running session. So, a couple of my most popular running sessions to date were the ones called Lost Locomotives, where basically I visited classes of loco that were never saved from scrap, ones that we didn't have anymore. And although they were a lot of fun to make, they were a little bit sad. It was always a little bit miserable, sort of thinking about what we've lost. So today I thought I would do something more sort of jolly, now that we're in the Christmas season, and so I've decided I'm going to do locomotives that we do have in preservation, specific locos. So it's going to be a big running session, as you can see, lots of locos out already. Lots to see, so let's get to it and I hope you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to start off with a couple of the more obvious and probably more famous locomotives. So on the outside line there, as you can see, a very, very famous loco. That is Mallard, the world's fastest steam locomotive. And then on the inside line, this loco is probably even more famous still. It is, of course, the Flying Scotsman. And Mallard there has got a lovely rake of teaks, and the Flying Scotsman there has got some Pullmans, which I always think are sort of suitably posh for an engine such as the Flying Scotsman. So let's get these two started then, and I'll show you what's on the inside line. So on the inside line here there is a double header of two 9Fs, both of these have been preserved. The one at the front is the most famous, of course, Evening Star, the final locomotive ordered and built by British Railways, so yes, she's quite well known. The one at the back there is lesser known, and you can't actually see her running number, but it's 92214. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but she's actually the one that I drove in real life, so quite special to me. Obviously, both are preserved. They're hauling quite a large rake of coaches, as you can see there, which should be a suitable test of their strength together. So let's get them started, the two 9Fs in BR green. Oops, wrong way, that always happens. Never mind. And there goes Mallard in the background. Absolutely love them. So, as I say, I bet most people will have seen these coming, but I couldn't do a preserved locos running session and not run them. So yeah, Scotsman and Mallard had to be in there. And where is Mallard? There she is, absolutely fantastic, both in model form and in real life. Definitely love Mallard. It's my railroad Flying Scotsman, by the way, so she's not the most detailed in the world, but she certainly looks the part. And then we've got the mighty double heading pair of 9Fs here, which I always love to double head. I mean, look at that. So impressive, aren't they, together? And good pullers as well. This is only 8 coaches, but I'm pretty sure they could manage quite a lot more. And we're quite lucky that the railway is still running at the moment, because as you can see there, the snow is not getting any better. Still quite white over. Okay, let's bring these to a stop, and unluckily they're all arriving at the same time, so it's a bit of a scrabble there. But there we go, hopefully they're all in shot there, I'm not too sure. So yeah, those are what I will call the predictable ones. Now we're going to move on to a few of the locos that you might not have realised, well I certainly didn't realise were preserved until I looked them up. So enjoy and let's see what's coming up next. So the next round is going to have a Great Western theme, and as you might know, absolutely loads of Great Western locos got preserved, hundreds and hundreds of them for one reason or another. So I'm not going to try and show all of them, but I am going to show a bit of a selection. We're starting off, as you can tell, with the 14XX. Now I do have quite a few 14XX models from Hornby and Airfix and that sort of thing, but only one of them is actually a preserved one, and as you can see the running number of this one is 1466. That one is indeed preserved, and as you can tell, she's also hauling a couple of auto coaches, which of course they were designed for. So let's get her started then, the lovely Airfix, this one, 14XX. So on the middle line I have this, the 2800 class. Now unlike the 14XX, both of my 2800 models have been preserved, but I've picked this one to run in the video, number 2807. This is the modern one, definitely one of my favourite Great Western locos, this. And as a goods locomotive I've given this a bit of a goods train. There's some box vans as you can see there, quite a lot of them, and then finally a Great Western toad at the end there. So let's get this one running, I hope you enjoy seeing her. So on the inside line, I've got yet another double header, two locos from the same class, yet another class that is very, very well represented in preservation. It is, of course, the Hall class. So at the front, we've got this one in maroon. This one's Alton Hall, made famous, of course, by the fact that she appeared in a lot of the Harry Potter movies, and I think that's the reason why she's still in maroon. The one at the back is Pitchford Hall, which I believe was restored at the Tyseley Locomotive Works in, well, Tyseley. And they're both coupled to a lovely rake of Great Western coaches. I do like these coaches very much, so hopefully you do as well. So here we go then, two Hall classes, both of them preserved. Let's get them started. And I think I have double-headed these two before, but they really seem to work quite nicely together. So yes, I've done it again today. Okay, enjoy the quick running session. So I know there are quite a lot of people that always sigh about the number of Great Western locos preserved. And I suppose I can see where they're coming from, because a lot of the Great Western stuff was preserved and a lot of the LNER and LMS stuff, of course, was scrapped. But to be honest with you, the Great Western locos are so beautiful, aren't they? You can't really complain that so many were preserved. I think it's a good job overall. And I really do love the 28XX, or the 2800 class if you want to call it that. I think they are the same. Yep, always looks lovely with a freight train, that one. Yeah, love it. And there you go, the second double header of the day. I do love double heading. I'm thinking of doing a double heading running session at some point. I think that will be fun, so we'll see how that goes. And there we have it, the lovely auto train with the 14XX. Yeah, it looks quite smart actually. Really like that. Alright, well that should just about do it for the Great Western session. Let's bring the 2800 class to a stop, and of course the Hall classes. And the 14XX has already come to a stop, so let me just slam the ground. She's not a very good runner. She is, as I say, the Airfix one. Not very good runners. I don't know whether she's due for a service or not, but yeah, not running too well, that one. Never mind, so let's put all of the locos we've seen so far into the sidings near the country station, and we'll see what it all looks like so far. So there you have it then, all of the locos from the first 3 rounds retired to the sidings. Actually looks quite a lot of them, doesn't there, to say I've only run 6 trains, but I suppose that's double headers for you. Anyway, let's move on then to the next round, which is going to have a Southern Railway theme, which I like very much, so I'm looking forward to this one, and I hope you like it too. Right, Southern theme, let's get cracking. So, first of all then, on the Southern theme is this. This is the Schools class, a very, very lovely class. Among the small number of them preserved, it was this one. This one is number 925 and it's Cheltenham. Once again, I've got quite a few Schools class models, but I think this was the only one I had that was preserved. So anyway, I'm glad to have gotten the Schools in there, put it that way. She's pulling a small passenger train of Southern coaches, which I think look very, very nice with her. And let's get her started then, this beautiful Schools class in such a lovely livery. I really do like this one. Okay, let's get her going. So on the middle line here is another loco in another lovely variation of the Southern Green. This is a 042 locomotive, which is quite strange, and it is of course the M7. Now I was very lucky to find an M7 in my collection that was actually preserved, because there's a very, very small number of preserved locos in real life. I think there's only 2 or something like that. So this one is number 245. This is one of the 2 or thereabouts that was preserved, and she's pulling a small passenger train, sort of coal bunker first if you like. So let's get her started then, the M7. This is a Triang version, the original Triang M7, and quite nice it is as well. There we go. Really good run of that one as well. Okay, so on the inside line, this class is a bit better represented in preservation. There are quite a few of these light Pacifics preserved. I had quite a choice actually of which one to run. This one is Tangmere. I think this is the favourite for me. I think also Winston Churchill is another one that I've got that I could have picked. But no, there is Tangmere, also preserved, a very, very lovely loco. She's pulling 3 of the coaches that she came with in the Excalibur Express train pack, I believe. And I do think they suit her very nicely. So let's get her started then, the lovely Tangmere, yet another lovely preserved loco. So now that we're about halfway through, let me know which has been your favourite round so far. We've had the famous locos round, we've had the Great Western locos round, and now we're on to the southern ones. I think for me so far it's been the southern ones, but there's still quite a lot to see, so I'm not going to make a decision just yet. But yeah, I really do love the southern engines, and I always have done really. There's the M7, very old model of course, but still going strong, which is always great to hear. And then we've got Tangmere there. Quite modern, I'd say about 10 years old probably, so she's still doing really well. And then of course the schools class, which is quite an old tooling, but it's a more modern railroad loco driven version of that model. So again, really quite a nice one to run, and she certainly looks nice with a passenger train. Yeah, they're not bad, are they, for railroad models? Quite interestingly, they're one of the few railroad models to actually have a painted cab. To a very, very small extent, though, I should say. Okay, time to bring these to a stop then. There's the lovely Tangmere, the M7 245, and the Southern Schools class, although they are all Southern of course. So there you have it, 3 more locomotives, all of which were preserved, and I really do love this lot. So I'm going to go and pop those into the sidings, and then we'll move on to the next round, which is going to be a bit of a freestyle round this time, so hope you enjoy it. So I'm doing a bit of a freestyle round just because there are so many lovely locos that I really want to fit into this video, but they don't all necessarily fit into the different categories. So first, for example, I've got yet another Southern loco here. This is another Bullet Pacific, in fact, but it's from the Merchant Navy class. And again, there are quite a lot of these preserved in different conditions and in different states. This particular one, I believe, is still in running order, or it has been at least recently. It is Canadian Pacific number 35005 in this beautiful BR blue. Absolutely love this one. And I know a lot of other people do too, so I try to run this whenever I possibly can. And because they suit her so well, I've got a set of Pullman coaches as well, coupled to the loco. So let's get her started then, the beautiful Merchant Navy class Canadian Pacific. On the middle line then, I have another tank engine. I thought it would be nice to do another tanker because I think there's only been 1 or 2 so far today. So this is the LBNSC Terrier. Loads and loads and loads of these preserved. I've only got 1 Terrier model in my collection, and it is this one, Whitechapel, and as luck would have it, this is also a preserved one. So yes, Whitechapel, as you can see there in the umber, I would say. Is it umber? Something similar anyway. And because Christmas is coming up, she's pulling a bit of a Christmas train with some presents and of course the famous reindeer van. So let's get her started then, Whitechapel, the beautiful Terrier. And then finally for this round we have a very powerful 280 heavy freight locomotive from the S&DJR this time, known of course as the 7F, very very beautiful model this from Bachmann. This version is number 53808 and this indeed is one of the few preserved versions, which is great, and as you can tell there she's pulling my ocean of ocean wagons, which is quite good to see. So let's get this started then, the lovely 7F on the inside line. And she's got quite a special brake van on here, so I'll try and get a shot of that in a second so that you get a view of it. In fact, I'll leave the camera here and you can see it go by. So there you have it folks, a little bit of a freestyle round. And there we go, there's my special brake van. Quite proud of that. So yeah, Canadian Pacific is one of my favourite locomotives of all time. So being a preserved loco, I really couldn't not show her today. I didn't realise that Whitechapel, to be honest with you, was preserved. I don't think I've ever seen a Terrier in real life, which is strange, but I'm sort of from the Midlands, and I think these are more London-based-ish. I'm not too sure if that's accurate or not, but I've certainly never seen one. There we go, there's Canpack, past the fleet of locos already out on the line today. Yeah, love her. And then this 7F is about to come into shot as well, so we might as well wait here for her. Yeah, very nice. That one's for Callum of S&DJR, 7F88, speaking. I know he likes those. And I suppose the Canpack is also Mark's favourite, my mod from the live streams, so yeah, glad to have gotten that one in there for him as well. It's funny about the brake van on this 7F because the model actually did originally have one, I think, or at least there's a space for one. in these brake vans, but mine never had one, so I've put one in. I think it looks rather good. If bright, but you know, if you're going to put a light in something, it's got to be bright. Not for a real layout, I suppose, but for mine, that's definitely a rule. Okay, time to bring these to a stop then. There's my favourite, Canadian Pacific. Really do love that one. Of course, we've got the Terrier, complete opposite end of the spectrum. Look at the size of that compared to the Merchant Navy. And then finally the 7F as well. Really couldn't have a running session of preserved locos without having one of those in. So there we go. 3 more preserved locos. These ones aren't quite as closely related to each other as others have been. But let's put these into the sidings and we'll see how the other locos are getting on. So there you have it then, the sidings are filling up quite nicely actually, which I always like to see. And it's quite strange, isn't it, to think that every single one of the locos you see here still exists in real life, and there's a giant version somewhere in the UK probably. So yeah, quite cool that. I don't think I've ever done this before, and it's quite a strange thing to think about. But anyway, let's move on then to what will be the final round, LMS locos. There aren't a great deal of LMS locos preserved, but I have managed to find some. So let's get to them, and I hope you like them. Okay, so first up on the LMS round then, we have this, the beautiful Midland Compound, number 1000, which is, I believe, the preserved one. She's got a small passenger train because they were indeed passenger locomotives, I think classified as a 4P or something like that anyway. So there we go, let's get her started then, the lovely Midland Compound. Also a Hornby Railroad model, but very lovely nonetheless. There we go. And on the middle line I have one of the LMS classics. This is of course Stania's Princess Royal. Once again, I think only a couple of these were preserved, but this is one of them. So this one is Princess Elizabeth in the LMS Maroon, and once again I've gotten the Pullman coaches out for her because I think they just suit her so nicely. So let's get this one started then, the beautiful Princess Royal. Ooh, a little bit of a wheel slipping start there, but she's managed it all right. And finally, on the inside line, here's a loco that I don't show very often, but I am showing it today because it is preserved. It is the fantastic Royal Scot. Quite a famous loco, of course, number 46100. I think it was the first of the class built, and it is preserved. I think it might even be the only one preserved from the Royal Scot class. So let's get this started then. This is the mainline version, so it's not such a beautiful runner, but it does seem to run more or less okay. And she's got some blood and custard coaches just there, as you can see. Okay, so for the last time today, enjoy the running session. Let's get started. So if you have a favourite from today, do let me know what it was in the comments. I think mine has to be still either Tangmere or the Merchant Navy. But yeah, let me know what yours was, if you have one. And also, of course, if you've seen any of these in real life, let me know in the comments which ones and how they were. I think a lot of us have seen sort of Mallard and the Flying Scotsman, but yeah, if you've seen any of the others, let me know. Princess is going along at quite a leisurely speed today. Yeah, it's quite nice to see those going a bit slowly for once. Gives you a chance to appreciate their detail and things, I suppose. And the Royal Scot there giving us quite a nice performance. Given that she's an old mainline model, she's sort of up and down a bit on the speed, as you can tell. It does look like she needs a service, but she's had one reasonably recently, so yeah, always been a bit of a funny runner, that one. But yeah, I'm impressed with how nice this Princess is running, nice and smooth. Of course, it wasn't long since I did the Lady Patricia review, which is the same model, of course, but she isn't preserved, and yet Elizabeth is. It's a good thing too. I think we'd all be devastated if none of the princesses survived. And there's the lovely Compound again. Another old favourite, that one. Okay then, let's bring some of these locos to the stop. There's the lovely Princess Elizabeth, and we've got the Compound coming in just next to her there. There we go, reasonably nice and gentle stop. And then, struggling now a little bit, I think she's tired out, we have the Royal Scot, in the lovely BR green. Okay, well I'll put these into the sidings then, and I'll show you all of the locos together. This is my favourite part. So there you have it then, folks, all of those preserved locos out there for you to see. And I think if nothing else, this kind of proves how lucky we are, really. Yes, a lot of locos got scrapped at the end of the steam era, but a lot of them didn't. And I, for one, am really, really grateful for that. So many lovely steam locos out there to see. Obviously, I would have loved to have shown all of the preserved locos I have in my collection, but if I'd have done that, I think it would have made a pretty long and boring video. However, there are one or two honourable mentions that I did want to show. I didn't want to let this video pass by without letting them have a little bit of a look in. So here we are, just to finish off, one or two honourable mentions. Here we go. Okay, so I've just got three for you today, three honourable mentions. So first of all, of course, we have the Duke of Gloucester, a unique loco, standard class 8. Of course, it has been modified quite a lot since it was first built in the 50s or whatever, but it is still around today, so it goes into the preserve list. We also have this, the class 2. I always get mixed up on whether this is an IVAC class 2 or a standard class 2. I think it's an IVAC. It's an IVAC design anyway. Number 46521 is also a preserved loco, which is great to hear. And then on the end here we have the Drummond Caledonian single, number 123. Also a unique loco, only one of these ever built, but it was preserved, and it's not in running order anymore, but I think you can still see it at a certain museum near Scotland, I think. So there we go, that is my preserved locomotives running session. Thank you all very, very much for joining me. I do hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you all very, very soon. So thanks for watching, folks. Drop the video a like or a comment if you'd like to, but for now, I will see you very soon. Alright, cheers everybody.